Greetings, Oriire Funowo. Good tidings to you. I pray that you're feeling awake, aware, and elevated in mind, body, and spirit, wherever you are, and whatever may be happening around you. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. I'm Baba Umar, Oluranse Emese, voice of the Emese, member of the Isoro Council, Traditional Council of Chiefs, and Babalawo of Ile-Ife, Orisa. Today is April the 17th, Ojo Awo. Today is Orunmi last day. And remember I said in the last video that we were going to post last week's last video in February in the blog, and this video will be posted for March in the blog gallery. So if you go to the website and you're looking for this video, note that it'll be posted in March, and then we're going to do another video to bring things up to date for April. So we're talking about the powers of love and forgiveness. In part one, we discussed the power of love. Now you might still be asking, yeah, but what's the real power of love? And how do we know that love is divinely ordained? So let's start by considering two Odu Ifa that speak to the subject of love. In the Sacred Odus of Ifa, the 150th Odu, it states, let me preface by BOA, Ifa Soro, like Proverbs is how Ifa speaks. So in this Odu, it says, Okanran Wonyen, the priest of Dog, cast divination for Dog when he was coming from Orun to earth. He asked, will I have the love of humans? He was asked to offer Ebo. He complied. Since then, he was shouting, I have made an offering to Okanran Wonyen. This is the meaning of dog barking till today. So in this Odu, Ifa is pointing out to us again that love is in fact part of the divine creation. In Sacred Odu Ika Bara, the 174th Odu, it states, walk fast that we may get away in time. Fly fast that we may return in time. This was divine for both Asa and Awodi, who were told to sacrifice so that they might be loved by all men. Again, Ifa is pointing out that love is in fact a part of the architecture of creation. So the answer to our question about the power and divine origin of love is really very simple. Well, once you accept the fact that Ara Ajubo, the body temple, is a divine creation, once you accept that fact, then you have to ask yourself the question, why would the experience of love have a direct, immediate, and powerful effect on your and my body? When you experience love, your body temple, Ara Ojubo, releases certain biochemicals like dopamine, the body's primary catalyst for pleasure. Not only does the body manufacture and release dopamine, but it also releases the biochemical oxytocin, which creates an attraction and binding effect to the source of the pleasurable experience, Whatever it was that brought love to you, that feeling of love to you, oxytocin binds you to it and other positive emotions. This is one of the chemicals which is released during childbirth that helps to bind the mother and the father to their baby. When we experience the feeling of love, the body also releases a chemical called vasopressin, which makes the object of that love appear even more attractive to us. So you meet somebody and, that emotion is stimulated and, you begin to feel these feelings of love. As those feelings emerge, the person actually begins to appear even more attractive to you than they did at first because of this chemical vasopressin. So this magnificent architecture of the body is clearly by intelligent design and indicates that the ultimate source of our capacity to experience the emotion of love is none other than Olorun, God, Orisun, the source of everything. So in part 1, we discussed love. Now, what about forgiveness? Let's start by considering verses from the Sacred Odu again, Odu Oyeku Batutu, the 65th Odu. And I quote, Orunmila will forgive me. The forgiver will forgive me. If water kills a person, it will be forgiven. If a king kills a person, he will be forgiven. Orunmila, let me be forgiven in this case. In all cases, the rain has been forgiven by the community. So forgiveness is written into the sacred Odu. It's a part of the divine creation. Our capacity to forgive is part of our divine architecture. And in Odu Okanran Rosu, the 130th Odu, it states, Ifa says, if a person apologizes, the matter will be resolved. Everyone forgives those who unknowingly do wrong. As a note in the Odu, it says, Orunmila says, now it is only a question of forgiveness. Ogun ravages a town, yet we still offer him praise. Oya destroys an entire forest, yet we offer her praise. As we struggle to balance our talents and liabilities, let us continue to forgive, to uplift, and to praise the divinity within ourselves. Orunmila says, now it is only a question of forgiveness. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So when we are burdened with negative thoughts and emotions that are always associated with an inability to forgive, a different set of chemicals are released in the body, into our blood. An inability to forgive is rooted in resentment, anger, hatred, aggression, hostility, and a host of other negative feelings. A feeling is like the emotional side of somebody's character, an emotional response or tendency to respond. And a negative feeling will generally elicit a negative response. So these types of feelings cause the body temple to produce and release biochemicals like cortisol and norepinephrine, which are the stress hormones. When we're unable to forgive, these chemicals, the stress hormones, put the body into a protracted state of fight or flight, constrict our blood vessels, reducing our blood flow, including blood flow to our brain so we don't think clearly. They can interfere with our immune system, making us more susceptible to heart attacks, heart disease, and a host of other diseases like high blood pressure and, yes, even cancer. The function of our brain is to produce in the body the chemical equivalent of the thoughts and beliefs that we hold in our mind. Hence, forgiveness is also an example of intelligent design, part of our divine architecture. There is an Ifa story of Orisa Sompono, Babalawo, the Oriire of smallpox and infectious diseases, who was mocked by the other Oriire because of his wooden leg while they were dancing and drunk at a celebration. The story provides a lesson in forgiving others because of offense, insult, or hurt. Sompono, in the heat of his emotional reaction to the insults, smited the other Oriire with smallpox. Olodumare punished Sompono by exiling him from living among the people. This story provides a lesson on forgiving others because of unintended offenses. In another story, the Oriire Ogun slaughtered the people of a town because they would not speak to him or give him water as he passed through their town. After the slaughter, a traveler he met on the road informed him that the reason that the people didn't speak was because they were engaged in a special traditional ceremony during which they were not permitted to speak or engage in other social interactions. The Oriire Ogun felt profound remorse for his actions and took to the forest, vowing never again to enter a city so that he might avoid future interactions that would be cause for such weighty remorse. This story provides us with a lesson in forgiving ourselves. No one who passes through this world will fail to encounter moments that call for the exercising of power of forgiveness. There is another Ifa story in the Sacred Odus of Ifa where Shango slaughters the people of a town because they would not offer him some wine when he arrived after a long, hard journey. Little did he know that the wine bottles were empty. He saw them standing around, but in fact they were empty. From that time until today, it's a custom among the Yoruba to always lay a bottle down on its side once it's empty to avoid such occasions of regret. This story provides us with a guidance to not be hasty in assigning blame, lest we find again cause for regret and forgiveness. There's still another story that describes events at the beginning of creation. It tells of the occasion when Olodumare decided that power is required to be maintained. Required to maintain the creation should be divided among the various Orisa. Up until that time, Orisa Eshu was the keeper of the Ashe, the spiritual powers necessary to sustain creation. Orisa Eshu did not like the fact that Olodumare was deciding to distribute the powers among the various Orisa, and so he tried to incite a rebellion among the Orisa. The matter was finally decided as Olodumare would have it. Orisa Eshu's actions in this story help us to understand why Olodumare would challenge each of us, you and me, with total control over this powerful choice, the choice to forgive, because Olodumare forgave Eshu for his act of rebellion. Even in the beginning, and even among higher spiritual entities, whomsoever is given the power to choose is also assigned the possibility of offense and mistakes. Therefore, forgiveness is in our DNA and manifests in our Ashe Ami, our energy signature. To forgive means to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone, including yourself, for an offense, a flaw, or mistake. It is a way of relieving ourselves of a burden that you and I do not have to carry, except that we choose to do so. To forgive and to forget are not the same thing. We don't have to forget what has happened. That would mean that we've lost the lesson to be gained from whatever the situation was that brought us to this point of needing to forgive. Ifa is about balancing the matrices and energies that are manifesting in our life experience. Ifa prescribes prayer, rituals, ceremonies, and ebos to help the believer affect and move the ashe. When you're filled with anger and resentment towards another person, they have power over you because the mere thought of them can cause your entire metabolic system and energy signature to shift in a negative way. This is one of the reasons that Ifa may prescribe a cleansing or washing of your head to cool your Oriire. The rituals performed so that you can maintain control over the state of your mind, body, and spirit rather than giving your personal power to others. The first and most important reason to forgive is to lift your own burden. And the paramount act of forgiving is to forgive yourself. So much of what believers bring to the priest or Babalawo is rooted often in the challenge of forgiveness. Make no mistake, exercising forgiveness is not always easy, but the value of exercising forgiveness cannot be overstated. Generally, people fall into two categories: the forgiving and the unforgiving. The forgiving seem to be able to forgive even the most horrific of offenses. The unforgiving, on the other hand, tend to be angry, resentful, bitter, and hostile, even over someone's foibles, someone's ignorance, impoliteness, a lack of maturity, or a lack of social etiquette, not to mention more serious offenses. One difference between these two groups may be whether or not they've been able to forgive themselves for some offense, flaw, mistake, foible, or event in their own life. When you act as the forgiver, you're in the position to bestow a great gift upon yourself and another, while at the same time lifting a great burden from your spirit and resolving a disturbance in your ashe ami. Lifting a great burden from your spirit and resolving a disturbance in your ashe ami. Your capacity to forgive cannot serve you if you fail to use it. This life is going to challenge you because our world, this human world, exists on the border between chaos and order. That border is defined by your and my ability to choose. You will experience moments of forgiveness, moments that call for forgiveness, no matter what. That's the nature of the Loja. So consider the experience of someone seeking forgiveness. What thoughts, emotions, and feelings are reflected in their energy signature? Are they feeling shame, guilt, remorse, low self-esteem, regret, depression, and so much more than they can put into words? Are they feeling helpless and hopeless about being absolved of their real or perceived crime? Can you see why forgiveness is such a powerful gift? To be forgiven is to be freed from the dark places of isolation that one can go when an offense or mistake breaches the relationship bond between individuals or with one's own self. So much of how you and I treat the world, how we perceive the world, is rooted in our own relationship with ourselves. You need to forgive yourself. We each choose to come into this world in order to create something wonderful for Olodumare to experience. We come to do our part in bringing about the good condition for every human being to experience. This is our collective destiny. We each come with the power to choose, and therein lay the mystery of fate, because your fate is the consequence of your choices. The choices you make regarding your capacity to love and to forgive will be some of the most important choices you will make in your life. In the final analysis, what will take on the most significance about your journey in this world, in the Loja, will be the moments of love and forgiveness that you shared with others. Love and forgiveness are not signs of weakness. They are expressions of Olodumare's omniscience and omnipotence, as well as the compassion of the Creator. So if you feel that you are holding on to anger and resentment, or stifled by remorse and regret, feel free to comment on this post. Think about what's been said here, and if you like, write me for information about the coconut ebo for cleansing and cooling your ori, helping you to release any anger, resentment, hostility, negativity associated with your up to now inability to forgive either yourself or others. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Ki Olodumare Orisha ati egun fifune ni itona imoye ati opo ire. May Olodumare, Orisha, and ancestors bestow on you guidance, wisdom, and abundant blessings. Ifo Kanbale, peace of mind from Olodumare. Ajolo Ajobo, we go out together, we return together. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo.